check. We not take back no check. You pep talk. Tiggity check. Hey girl, let's lay the shot. We know say why you don't want the drama. When Tyson rise up the llama, say to pray at night with your father. He got thing by him out from the corner. You, me know say you're gonna rematch on you know say you're gonna. Bad man, you run your mouth karma. When the then contract.
That's the gist of it.
Okay, let me ask you this.
If it was just okay, go ahead.
Let me ask.
Yep.
He said, in the night of the in the ring, he gave Tyson Fury his props. Later on, it appears that he thinks that Tyson Fury's success was aided by some other stuff. How much do you give? Like if you and I'm asking for a little bit of charity here. Let's say that you believe what Wilder is saying to be true. How much props would you give Fury in that circumstance?
If I'm Wilder, and I think that, okay, so if I'm putting myself in Wilder's shoes. If I think a man cheated me, okay, that's one thing. So I can't give him that much. If I honestly believe somebody, because you know what I mean, because he might, like you said, he might believe that 100%. Like this dude, I don't care what nobody say, he fucking cheated me.
He cheated me.
You know. As long, and here's the thing: as long as I got other people believing that shit, it's you know what I'm saying. It makes me not look as crazy.
Okay.
Or you know what I mean, or it aids my belief that this guy cheated me. So I don't give him that much. So you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
you're right about that.
Here's the thing: I don't think that Wilder really cares about whether or not people believe what he has to say or in his corner. And
but
so
I do.
Here's the thing. I don't know how many boxing fans. I don't know how many boxing fans are going to co-sign a man wanting to give birth to a baby, right? Going through childbirth. Like Lady Chann, it would have been great.
Yeah.
Like if I can, for the purposes of this conversation, if I would have come back to Lady Chann with like I pushed one out myself, then where would it have been at? Like we would have been a completely weird conversation, right? Like for me, the guy says stuff that clearly doesn't mind being on an island of one.
Well, yeah, he says some also. I don't really like to talk about that. I mean, that's kind of soap opera, but yeah, I don't really even. I don't even think. Matter of fact, I didn't even report that when it came out. Like, oh, dude, that's just.
I know. I skipped past it myself. I didn't care. I'm glad you didn't report it.
But I mean, it's awful. But see, here's the thing. He thinks a guy cheated him, but all these other factors, your trainer, the ref, then then the costume was the first, but then you're adding all that up. It's just like, dude, you're just bringing up a bunch of stuff to really either blur out or cover up what is really the deal. See, if I'm going to believe one thing, I can't believe all of it. You know what I mean? Like, you want me to believe that my trainer, we're basically, no, I'm sorry. My trainer.
You didn't even touch on Mark Breland saying what he said and what Smoke thought.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If he believes Mark Breland spiked his water, and then in the interview with Brian Custer, he said, well, I got on JD's too. Did you see that interview?
Yeah.
Smoke?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I remember he saying I got on JD's too, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, well, why would you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the punishment that fits? You definitely know Tyson Fury cheated because of the gloves, but then the guy that you still have on your team is the guy that was responsible. Fuck all the officials. Because see, you're right. If the officials missed it, that means your coach is responsible. Would that mean he's going to slack off because there's officials in there? No, he's supposed to do his job. So if he didn't do his job, to play devil's advocate, if Tyson Fury was cheating, that means JD's didn't do his job. So he definitely should have been gone before Mark Breland. So what was going on with the disciplinarian instruction, or you know what I'm saying? Like with these two guys, like, okay, why do you still have one and not the other? I'm not even worried about the race thing. I'm worried about why is that?
I got you. So I mean, I am going to I'm going to give you what I think could be happening, right? My opinion about it, because I actually don't know, but it just the logic part of it. It appears to me that Mark Breland was brought in to take Wilder to the next level, right? He's already with JD's. He brought in Breland later on, right? So Breland is supposed to be there to upgrade Wilder's skills. right? If if there's a point when everyone is saying that Wilder has not reached his skill, like the peak of his skills. If loyalty is a big thing for you, and you see that Breland is telling tales out of school about your training and about criticizing you to the public, it may say, and JD's is not doing that. It could be that since Breland is a late addition anyway, that he would, it's the last hired, first fired kind of thing. But at the same time, right? There's a few different things. I don't know. Like, I feel as though, and this is again my opinion on the outside looking in, the mess that I saw in the ring on that fight, like one of the biggest contrasts of that fight was the difference in their corners. The way Tyson Fury's corner looked versus the way that Wilder's corner looked. Tyson Fury's corner looked like a professional, well-run machine. What the instructions that Sugar Hill was giving him were on point. It was calm, cool, collected. Like, it was brilliant. What was going on in Wilder's corner? It was like monkeys humping a doorknob, right? So who's ultimately responsible for that? Wilder is. How much responsibility did he take for that? Not sure, right? Like the idea that you fired Breland because you guys had a agreement, that he signed an agreement that no fight should be stopped. I'm not really down for agreements like that, but I'm a fan.
Yeah, like who's going to promise that? You know,
right?
Who's going to promise that?
I'm not down for that, and for just as a fan, I am not trying to watch somebody die in a ring. So I just like that. The concept of something like that, I'm not with, right? So, but they've worked that out beforehand. So it seemed to be a fireable offense. So if that's the agreement that they had and he violated the agreement, okay, then that means you're out of here. What that has to do with spiked water, no idea.
So you think the spiked water was kind of like the icing on the cake then?
No, I think that throwing in the towel was the icing on the cake for him, and him saying that Mark Breland spiked his water is an insult to injury, right? But for me, the whole thing logically doesn't make sense. If you think that you were drugged, why would you be upset that somebody stopped the fight? Did you think that you were going to win the fight even drugged? Even though you're like getting your ass whipped pillar to post? It doesn't stand up to logic, right? So for that part of it doesn't stand up to logic for me. But it's not like it would be the first time Wilder did something that didn't stand up to logic for me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. But like to even see you see how many things you have though that one person thinks about the whole ordeal. Like, look, that night was messed up, and let me tell you why, this, that, and the other. So those don't come off as excuses to you, none of them.
Bro, he was answering a question. It's not like he's just ruminating about like sitting on the side of the road fishing and just giving out a bunch of stuff. He literally was asked the question that he answered. But there's a cliche. There's a cliche that, success has 1,000 parents and failure is an orphan. Mm-hmm. Right.
There you go.
Right. So,
right.
Like nobody, it's everybody's fault when things go wrong. Right. Insofar as I see Wilder taking a responsibility, he said that there are snakes in the camp that he should have excised sooner. He said that he should have tested out the costume beforehand.
Right. I mean, well, to be fair, those guys did say that he did test that out. He wore that costume, and then because they were interviewed after that, So again, it's just like I just see a person that can't admit that loss if he thinks that guy's cheated, but then everybody else is wrong too. But the only thing that he can vouch for, which I don't really even think he really took ownership for, was the costume. I just think it was just something else. Because, see, there's nothing technically he said, again, that, well, hey, he was the better. He said he was the better man that night, right? He did say that at first. But obviously, according to Tay Jones, like, hey, I even told Big Bro, this is what he calls Wilder. I told Big Bro, like, look at this. Hey, look at this. So I honestly don't believe all that shit really came from Wilder, but I think he believed it after it was brought to his attention. You see
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. I think he got some more information and then changed what he thought the source was. Right. And so at that point, if you now think that the reason why, that you have like some material events or phenomena that may have impacted the result, like how much credit are you going to going around giving Fury? Like that doesn't really even. Like really, what it comes down to, in the end, is that people believe what they want to believe, and you can cite the reasons why that led you to this particular belief, and I'm not mad at that. The issue is that people are acting like beliefs are facts, and not just saying this
right,
is what I believe versus this is definitely what happened.
right. So yeah, because these conflicting things, I know that's not the truth. You see what I'm saying? So we might not know the whole truth, but we know what ain't. You see what I'm saying? So in this situation, the third fight is a shame that it hasn't happened because if it never happens, it would be a shame because of all the other things. Now I will admit these channels did make a good thing up. They built the third fight by the idea of a possible cheating situation from Team Fury. Because if he cheated, that means he didn't win fair and square. So that meant like, hey, Wilder on the next fight will be at that level that he should have been either that night due to whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of people covered up for him. If it's not Wilder, it was people with Wilder. But understand something. The people that say that about Wilder, especially the closest people, like you said, he's only responsible for what is said about him. See, when he co-signed the whole thing, the only thing he didn't co-sign was the bicep. He was like, "Well, I never said nothing about the bicep. Stop me from that." Other people said that, but as far as all that other stuff, and he's agreeing with it, that's hard to believe. So it's like, what category do you put it? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I guess it is what you really want to think. Because I was a big Tyson fan. When Lennox Lewis beat Tyson, like, you know what I mean? To be fair, if this shit would have came out, hey, Lennox Lewis had some shit in his glove. That's it. That's how Tyson's eye was all busted up. You see, he was busted with both of his eyes was busted. You know, it would have been easier to believe versus the actual truth. You see what I'm saying? So because I was a Mike Tyson, that shit hurt me to my core when Lennox Lewis did that to him. You know, because I mean,
Yeah, for me, it's more about I don't think all right, and we're talking about whether or not Wilder's should be saying this stuff, right? And I'm of two minds about it. Like for real, like I understand that what he is saying, he is opening himself up to all of this negative backlash. Specifically, what he's saying, like if he played the game in a more sophisticated manner, I think he could definitely change what people are saying about him somewhat, right? Authenticity says something to me. Like whether or not you like the guy, whether or not like if you think his authenticity is fake or whatever, I think that the dude is actually standing in his truth. As diluted as you may think that truth may be, I think that he actually is coming across to me as a guy who is talking about what he believes to be the facts.
But it would have been better if we like it was a couple of things were from the horse's mouth from himself, but then a lot of them were from like his fan base. And it would have been if he would have thought all of these things, he would have came and said them first and foremost himself. And then we would have been like, he's as deluded as fuck, but at least he's the one that's saying it. It's like he said he said nothing at first, and then when he saw what was being accumulated from his fans, it was just like he just decided and thought, fuck it. Like, because even if like what Kurt said, you couldn't, even him as himself couldn't believe that every single one of those theories or thoughts could have been true. Like, cool, go with a couple maybe, but every single one, Like,
right.
come
But
on,
so here,
man.
right. So the issue is, can you complain about Kenny Bayless? Can you think that Mark Bruno is disloyal? Can you think that the costume was a reason why you didn't feel the way that you felt that night? Can you think that somebody spiked your water? And can you think that he had a foreign object in his gloves? And all those
All
things
in
being
one
the
night.
case,
The
right?
possibilities of that.
Right? Can all
Well, you could,
right?
yes, yeah, you could.
So here's the thing. So here's the thing.
Right.
If you
Right. So to me, none of that to me rises to this level of nefarious plot to like twist everybody's mind to make some believe them something that he doesn't believe. Right. To me, that I think that you can have all of those positions. I think maybe Wilder thinks that he could have come back, or even if he couldn't have come back, he wants the opportunity to come back, and that Kenny Bayless, well, not really Kenny Bayless, but that Mark Breland robbed him of that chance, even though Mark Breland was being paid to not take that opportunity away from Wilder. He can criticize Bayless for the way that he left, because I think that anybody could see that you could kind of criticize that without saying that's the reason why he left. I mean, the reason why he lost, right? And still have that happen. You can, if what he is saying about the doctor is true, right? Then also you can see why Wilder would say it. But at this point, all we have is Wilder saying that's what the doctor said, and Wilder's brother saying that's what the doctor said. We don't know that that's actually what the doctor said.
yeah, we don't.
Right, and even if
And
the
that,
top
that
screen, even if the top screen, let's say, what you guys are saying about it makes sense to me, but I don't know enough about it in order to like agree or disagree. Right, to me, that's one of those things that comes out in the wash. Right, if Wilder is saying that, because another thing that he said that took away from was that that there would be a civil suit if he didn't get a fight, and that's the kind of thing that would come out in a civil suit. That's also another reason why I don't think that mediation is about getting a check, because that check, like he said, he's going to sue the dude afterward. Like that's the real lawsuit for a check. That's after the mediation happens if he doesn't get the fight.
It's after arbitration.
Yeah, mediation,
Arbitration.
arbitration, yes, yeah. If the arbitration, if he doesn't get the third fight as a result of arbitration and mediation, it's my understanding that he is supposed to be doing the civil suit.
Okay, so when Anthony Joshua fights with Fury, because obviously that Anthony Joshua is fighting for the WBC belt, just to give it devil's advocate, they fight twice. Anthony Joshua beats Fury twice, obtains the WBC. Why is Fury? Why do you think Fury's gonna now fight Wilder? What game is that for?
Uh,
Beltless.
um, Wilder fighting Fury, I believe that both of those guys, but really, I think the reason why these guys fight is money. Like this idea that they're fighting for like legacy and belts and all this stuff, to me is a bunch of cat.
Fury's
Like
gonna be
I don't
retiring
buy it.
after.
Like I think right.
Yeah.
I think the motivating factor is tens of millions of dollars. I also think that there's now some personal animosity between the guys, so they can beat each other up and make tens of millions of dollars in the process.
Okay, but Fury said that Anthony Joshua was his retirement fund, so the
I mean,
likelihood of
I hear you. Listen, Fury is
and Deontay Wilder's like 36 years old, 35, 36. They've got 2 fights to have, mate, and they ain't even had the first one yet, which is deemed to be happening in May or June. And then let's say they'll have the rematch in December 2022, and who knows, there may be a trilogy, which will bring it into. Oh, bruv, Wilder ain't having a look in. So this we know.
Well, here's the thing. So
it's more likely
let me ask you a question.
it's for compensation, not for a third fight. He knows there's no third fight actually going to happen now. He's out the runnings. He's out.
Okay,
He's
so
out. Not that I want him to, but
so
it's
let me. No, I get it, and you may absolutely be correct, right? But let's offer another possibility, right? Let's offer a possibility that the arbitration says that the contract isn't canceled, and that the third fight should happen. And Fury says, "I'm not going to have the fight. I don't want that fight to happen. That dude offended me and my people, so I'm never going to fight the guy." And so the WBC takes the belt away.
Well, why would they do that?
Do you
though?
still think that does the fight still have the same?
Yeah, the WBC already had offered that, and
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah,
it's not ever going to happen. They are not going to strip Fury of the
Right. So,
belt.
so the issue, right. So the WBC actually came out and also asked Fury what is going on with
what
this
is going to
situation.
happen?
What are you doing?
Go,
So it sounds like so let me finish, if I can just finish.
Yeah.
It sounds like the WBC, and I haven't seen it. If you guys have seen the contract, cool. Let's work from the same set of facts. But I certainly haven't seen it, so this is complete ignorance on my part. But it
Okay.
sounds as though, from what the WBC said to Tyson Fury, is that the WBC is involved in this contract dispute somehow. Like maybe the language of the contract has the WBC involved. So that's the only the possibility. Let's say that the contract does have language in it that it implicates the WBC, and the arbitration comes back. The judge says, you know what, this third fight needs to happen. If the belt is on the line, right, and Fury says, no, I don't care about this WBC belt. I'm Tyson Fury. I'm bigger than all the belts. I just want to make this fight. Is this still the fight that's going to be happening in June? And it's still the fight that everybody wants to see?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was Mauricio Suleiman. He was on a live. It was Arts Live. I watched the live. It was either I can't remember that. It's a channel that I'm not familiar with. A black guy that runs the channel, and he's the face of the channel. Or it could have been Seconds.
I believe it was Fred with Barbershop Conversations, man.
Was it Fred?
Yeah, matter of fact, it was Fred. It was Fred.
Yeah, I think
there's also he also did like something with he also did something with a print organization too.
Yeah, I think Boxing Social Arts did Mauricio as well. I think Boxing Social or Seconds Out as well, and they had him on there. This was literally like 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, so
I mean that's really just the thing. Like people extrapolate. Yeah, like people extrapolate, all kinds of things, right? They like the contract expired, VADA does this, and I get it, and I would just be like, are you certain about things you don't know? Like, what's all the certainty about?
No, so what we do know is that Tyson Fury won't be stripped. That is what I would say. What we do know, that is a fact, because Mauricio Suleiman said it, and in front of you. So that's fact.
Well,
what we're just
that's based on what he said.
Well,
I don't mean that's a fact.
Mauricio Suleiman is a little fraud. Don't get it twisted. But I mean, he said that the WBC wouldn't be stripping Tyson Fury in order to make the Tyson Fury and AJ fight not to happen, because to force him to fight.
Yeah, that's what he said, though. That is what he said.
That's what he said. Who knows? We'll see.
Right.
So at this time, that's what he said. I'm just going by.
Right. So he definitely said one thing and then said something else later, and then said something else again later on. So it just depends on which statement you're taking out from what. So here's let me just clarify.
One thing and then one thing later.
I got that. And I got what you're saying, Lady Chann. But what I'm saying is, that the what Mauricio Suleiman is talking about could be perhaps could be affected by what is happening in the contract and in arbitration, right? And that part of it hasn't played itself out. But I'm going to offer like another thing, right? So the arbitration, the entire arbitration process, it only has jurisdiction in the United States. The WBC is a Mexican organization, and Tyson Fury is not an American fighter. Like, so, let's say the arbitration goes against Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury says, I don't give a damn. I'm still not going to fight you, and I just won't fight in America. I'm going to fight somewhere else, right? And maybe the WBC says, I don't give a damn about what the U.S. says, even if the WBC language is part of the contract. We're a Mexican company. Right, so there's all of this is at play. Who knows how this is actually going to shake out? I'm just saying
that's too much the wood out. We're just dealing with what we've got available to us. Like all the stuff that we're talking about is what's been presented and what's available to us. We can't just always speak like 5 trajectories ahead at all times. It's just too much.
But That's the issue. That is the issue. That people, I feel like, are gleaning on to what is actually convenient, and they're going for the low hanging fruit, and then saying they're certain about what they're saying is the fact while they're going after the low hanging fruit.
No, because like even if you're going to do like opinions and stuff, opinions you try to make well informed opinions by the information that you have available. So that's how I try to base opinions, like by what we have available. Whereas I feel that some of the wild decks they just pluck from the atmosphere, or as Bob Arrow said, the hemisphere, just this wild stuff that bears no weight really. That's all. So
that's the issue, right? But
I'm just waiting for you guys, because it's just so easy to checkmate. Like if I was it's so easy to checkmate all this stuff, because VADA are never going to throw away the samples, the urine samples and stuff like that. So that's always going to be available for him. So as soon as he gets the thing that you said, that should show up about him having the drug in his system, then he can take that, and then everybody can start doing the litigations, and everybody be like, yeah, go Wilder. I'll be the first one, be like, yeah, Wilder. Till then, mate, shoulda, coulda, woulda. This is what I'm saying. It's you're I'm not saying yourself, but people that are from the Wilder camp and crew and collective and fan base are going with things that they don't actually have any information that's given them to have these reasonings as such, and they're portraying it like it is as fact. This is this is that, this is that. Well, just put everything to bed, and like one foul swoop, Kenny Bayless, he's already been tested. That's off. So drop that. So why doesn't Wilder be admirable enough to say, okay, guys, with that, I actually did think that I smelled alcohol on Kenny Bayless, and you threw a man under the bus like that. It's rude. At least that's been struck off, that Kenny Bayless wasn't drunk. So do the admirable manly thing and come to your fan base and say, guys, you can quit with that. I honestly thought he was drunk, and it's been proven he wasn't. So, shouts out to Kenny Bayless. Sorry about that. No, it depends on how Kenny Bayless wants to take that. But, there's no, is there a word called admirability? I don't know. If there isn't, there should be one, because I just don't see anything admirable. Like there's nothing. He's not taking anything into account where things are kind of picked off, that you're not even saying to your people, yo, chill. Like, I've got it. I'm gonna sort this out. He's just fueling it. You can't be saying things about people within their jobs that they've turned up to work drunk, sir, with not any proof. It's out of order. It's out of order. It's already been proven that Kenny Bayless wasn't drunk. So if you're saying he believes these things, cool, believe them all day until they are proven that your beliefs are nothing but air. And then once those are proven, you should apologize.
Yeah. So, when it comes down to proving the things that he's saying, I think there's definitely a lot to be desired, right? Like I said, like even if the talk screen says that you did it, how are you going to attribute that to Mark Breland? To the extent that I'm interested in this stuff, this is the stuff that I'm interested in. Like, I'll go you one better. If everything that Wilder says is the case, right? Or not even that. If it's possible that you could put egg weights into your gloves during a rap session, I feel like that is something that that boxing needs to shore up, regardless of even if Fury did it. If you can actually do that, I don't think that is. I think fighter safety is actually too important to put the onus on the other team catching it. Right? Like that just seems. It seems like you can do a better job when it comes to fighter safety. Put a camera up. Put a camera up. Let everybody see the raps. And if there's any issue about the rap situation, then you have the cameras. But you just go look at the video feed and you can see, hey, you know what? This guy never tampered with any of the raps. And I feel like boxing can make these sort of. I think that boxing can accommodate these kind of easy fixes to make sure that we don't have these kind of controversies and try to figure out through abductive, inductive, or deductive reasoning what the hell is going on. And when you're left with all we have is the best available facts, if all we have is the best available facts, there's any number of ways that we can get the conclusion wrong.
Yeah, like there's many a place, many a state in America where certain of these types of skullduggeries could occur. But you know, just in the whole Nevada state, it's, you know, where the WBC is tied to. It's with that. It's just going to be mad difficult for all that to be, all of those things to have been done. But hey, like you said, you never know. But JDS would still be, you know, held. He should be held accountable for that. But also that, you know, when we see like the fighters, you know, they said the camera stopped rolling and stuff. You know that Tyson Fury's team allowed the cameras to roll. They don't have to allow. That's not a stipulation that the fighters have to allow the cameras to actually roll whilst in the changing rooms. So just for that mere fact, you know, if you would have thought, if I'm going to do a loaded glove thing tonight, I'm actually going to exercise my right to not have any cameras in the. And Anthony Joshua never has cameras in his fights. There's lots of fights that Dillian White and Povetkin didn't have cameras in there. So, you know, Tyson Fury could have exercised and said, hey, you know, guys, we're going to do this loaded glove. Let's not have the cameras tonight. We don't have to, because it's not a requirement. So, like, you have to also use common sense. Maybe, you know, the world gets, you know, their sense is obviously not common. I don't know, but it clearly isn't. Sometimes you've got to use a bit of common sense. And it just seems like there's too many things plucked from nowhere, and everybody, because you guys are all screaming it out with one voice, you think that it makes it believable, and it doesn't, because there's people like me, and it doesn't matter until facts, like you say you do with facts, so do I. I'm just instead of debating, you know, debating's long. I just like checkmate. I would have just shut my mouth, came out with the paperwork, and done everybody, and that would have been it. And on the things, if I would have jumped out of the boat or the plane without my fucking parachute, with all these silly fucking conspiracy theories, and once they was clearly factually debunked and proven, i.e., you know, not finding anything in Kenny Bayless' system of alcohol and drugs, I'd have to initiate an apology. I'd have to. So it's either that you're actually rooting for a guy that just has no clear manners, no clear decorum or etiquette or much moral code of conduct, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, once it's been debunked, apologize.
Yeah, so I think definitely that would be an admirable way to conduct yourself. I don't know that if he doesn't conduct himself that way, that is, the onus is on anybody to feel any kind of way about it, right? Like if that's why you root, if you root for a guy because you think that he behaves in a mature manner, then okay, that's why you root for a guy, right?
I'm out, gun. Hey girl, this lady shot. Red knowledge, straight from the sun cycle farm. Yo, Wyler, fix up yourself, yeah. Straight send from your girl, lady shot. I'm pep talk,